Malaga are one of the most unlucky sides in European football. This is a team that not too long ago was one of the best sides in the nation of Spain, were competing in Europe, beating the likes of AC Milan and Porto on their way to a slight defeat in the end in the quarter-finals of the Champions League. They were managed by Pellegrini, they played great football and they had stars in their lineup. The likes of Isco, Santi Cazorla, Roque Santa Cruz, Martin Demichelis have all passed their way through the Malaga ranks, but things haven't gone so well for them in recent years. Despite plenty of player sales, their owner took most of their money away and the club has eventually plummeted all the way down into the third tier of Spanish football. Now I won't explain the full story in this video, but to sum it up, they had poor ownership which has led to them falling all the way down the Spanish football pyramid, and today we're going to try and correct that. I'm going to take over as Malaga manager and restore them to their glory. Now despite being in the third tier, Malaga have great facilities, still have an excellent academy system, a massive fan base, and they've got some pretty good players too, at least for this division, because we've got stars like Lucas Angali. Wande is a pretty good 24-year-old centre-back, and 35-year-old David Ferrero can bring some much-needed experience to the team. And I say much-needed experience because there's a lot of young players in this Malaga side. Take Roberto Fernandez, for example, a promising striker that will hopefully carry us up the divisions. Kevin Velodres has a lot of promise on the left wing, as does 21-year-old Spaniard David Larrubia on the right. And because of that great squad, we are predicted to get promoted pretty much straight away. I mean, the odds are crazy. I've never seen odds like it. Looks like it's probably a glitch in the FM system, but to put it simply, we should be getting promoted to the second tier in year one. And just to let you know, that is what happened in real life. They did not win the league, but Malaga have earned promotion to the second division, but for the sake of this rebuild, we'll be starting in the third tier. But it's going to be pretty hard to make any business happen in our first season with a negative 30,000 wage budget and a £0 transfer budget, and that kind of sums up the financial situation that Malaga have been in for a while now. But not only am I going to try and improve performances on the pitch, I'm going to try and solve all their financial difficulties as well. So even though we should get promoted in season 1, the whole rebuild's not going to be the easiest job as we try and get them in 5 years, not just back to the first tier, but I want to try and qualify them for Europe yet again. It's not going to be simple, but I'm going to give it my best shot. But first, we need to make some transfers happen somehow with that budget. Now, as you can imagine, with the budget I had, I was not able to do much business. In fact, I actually had to pull money away from our scouting budget to even sign one singular player, and I went for Marc Pedraza, who's just in to help us for the singular season. The 36-year-old is going to come in and give us some experience in the midfield, just help us get promoted. That's the first aim, and then we can start building the squad from there, really. To be honest, I just want to get some momentum, get us out of the third division, and try and go from there. But instead of making transfers, I actually spent a lot of my focus for the first time in a long time developing some kind of custom tactic. Normally I just go based off of the simple gegenpress that the game gives me, either a 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, and I have gone for a 4-3-3, but I've gone for a custom tiki-taka. I've actually set up my own instructions and everything. You can see we've got a regista in the midfield, an advanced playmaker, box-to-box midfielder. I'm trying to play some nice football here with Malaga. My aim is to control games, have good possession, and play football the Spanish way, some fluid attacking play whilst being structured defensively, but we have got some great players to help in this 11. Let's introduce you to them quickly. Our best goalkeeper currently is Alfonso Herrero, a 29-year-old goalie. At right back, we've got Joaquin Gabilondo, a 24-year-old Spaniard. In the defence, we've got Nelson Monte, who's a 28-year-old Portuguese national, alongside Wande, who you've met, and Dani Sanchez, a 23-year-old at left back. A lot of these guys are academy products or recent signings. They haven't been able to do too much business in recent years, Malaga, as I believe they had a transfer ban for a while. But Gennaro is supposedly our best regista in this team, the best holder of that midfield. He's 25 years of age, and he is alongside Sangali, who you've met, and Enriquez, who is a very good 22-year-old who I think has a lot of promise, as well as being good right now. So he's going to get a lot of game time and hopefully develop. And I think a lot of these players could probably do a shift in the second tier if we can get there. So I don't think we'll need a massive overhaul when we do. We've got a lot of young talents as well. You've met Larrubia, you've also met Velodres and Roberto Fernandez, which makes a very good young forward line, and there's plenty of good young talents on the bench as well. I mean, Diarra is a young centre-back, 21 years of age, again a player with a lot of promise. Puga as well is a 22-year-old right-back who I'm hoping can put in a shift when called upon. So I think we're in a good place. I've set the tactic up, I've brought the players in that I feel like we need, and now we're going to try and give it our best shot. Let's get season 1 out of the way and see if we can get promoted as Malaga did in real life. And it's safe to say our first season went to plan. We had a very good year, and I don't want to say I'm a tactical genius, but our tactic did very well for our team, and you can see that in this game, our final match of the season against San Luqueno, where Roberto Fernandez opened the scoring from a corner, and we dominated the game with 12 minutes on the clock. We created another chance, Larrubia down the right, finding Enriquez in the middle. Sangali then scored a penalty. All of this happened in one half. Our high press allowed us to win the ball back, and a great shot from Dani Sanchez made it 4. And this is just an example of how dominant we were this season. We had 74% possession in that game, 3.69 XG, and that shows just how well the tactic did this season. We completely dominated everybody we came up against. That was other than the cup competition, where we faced off against Villarreal in the 3rd round, who proved to us, while we aren't good enough just yet to be a top division team. They scored a penalty early on, and then not too much longer after that, they went forward through the left hand side. Guedes managed to run into the box and make it 2. Only a couple minutes later, we tried to play our tiki-taka football, gave the ball away, and Villarreal striker made it 3-0. So it just shows we're not quite there yet. Saying that, the stats don't lie that we gave them a pretty good game. We had a similar amount of shots and XG, had a little bit more possession than they did. So I'm not saying this tactic and these players are going to translate directly into the first tier, but I think based on that performance, we'll hopefully be okay in the 2nd division. And that is where we're going, because we did finish top of the table, 82 points, 53 goal difference, only 2 losses, 13 draws mind you. We didn't score a crazy amount of goals, but overall we were very much in control of every game we played. We've got that promotion, we got exactly what we wanted. And I have just noticed there is a couple more games left of this season in some kind of competition that they do here in Spain. I think the 3rd tier is split up into 2 different competitions, and the winner of one competition plays another just for like a Champions Trophy. But I think from what I can tell, we are champions. We are going to the 2nd tier, but I'll let you know what happened in them games when we start doing our Season 2 transfers. But there is definitely a lot that we can work with from this season. I mean, Ramon Enriquez was a great player for us. Sangali got 8 goals, 12 from Velodrez and 12 from Larrubia, the young wingers putting in a great shift. Roberto Fernandez managed to score 15 goals in 26 games. Not a bad performance at all from the player that still seemingly has a lot of promise, and he does now have interest from the likes of Valladolid. Hopefully we can manage to hang on when they're interested in him, but if any big clubs come in, we might struggle, especially when you see we've got a transfer budget of £90,000. That being said though, there is a pretty decent amount of wage budget, so because we've got promoted, sometimes those budgets might change, so we'll see what we're working with in Season 2, but now I need to start making some transfers and making this team our own. And I think this transfer window has gone very well. But before I show you who we signed and who we sold, I just want to ask you guys, if you've watched the videos, you know it's coming, but if you could just take a second for me to like the video, it really does help the performance of them here on the channel and helps the channel grow. So thank you to anybody who can do that. And a big portion of you, I'll put it on screen, are watching but aren't currently subscribed. And if just some of you guys hit that subscribe button, we would reach our next target of 40k in no time. Make sure as well, you comment down below what rebuild you want to see next. Every one we do is based on your suggestions. And finally, if you want to support me as a creator, I have a Patreon linked in the description. Not only can you support me over there though, in return you'll get access to all of the save files from every rebuild we've done, so you can take over whether it's in Season 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 and continue these rebuilds yourself, or try and do a better job than I did. And I imagine by the end of this Malaga one, there might still be some work that needs doing that maybe you guys can finish off and let me know how you get on. With that being said though, let's see the Season 2 transfers. But just before we do that, I will show you that we did beat Barcelona B in that competition to become champions of the Spanish 3rd tier, whatever it is, I don't know. We've won it, we have secured that trophy, and we're going into the 2nd tier. We were fine. The first sale I made was Victor Garcia going to Pogoń out in Poland. He has moved for a very minimal fee of 34,000, but there were some players that didn't get much game time last year that I just wanted to clear off the books and free up the wages. And it was the same story for Einar Galea, again someone that I don't think we're really going to miss. He played 4 times last season and has now moved to Huesca in the same division as us for 82,000. We did get 2 pretty big fees for some of our players though, one of which was Alfonso Herrero, our goalkeeper, 30 years of age, has moved on to Italian side Salento. He's going to play Serie A football, so you could see why he would want to go. We got £500,000 for him, but it looks like so far his career hasn't gone too well out in Italy. And we lost Gennaro as well, 26 years of age, he is now now moved on. One that was expected to play a lot last season and played very well, but when Huesca came in, he wanted to go. Maybe he sees them as a more sustainable club in the second tier. He's gone for 600k. Maybe he thinks they'll do a better job than us. So our aim this season is maybe not to get promoted, but at least do better than Huesca and make Gennaro regret his decision. And I think he will, because we have improved the team. We made all of those sales that you just saw, raised about £1 million, and then I didn't actually spend any transfer budget. I got all of these players on loans or frees. The first one is this wing back called Gary. He's the only loan on this list. Yeah, his name's Gary, I don't know why, but he's a 19-year-old Spaniard playing for Valladolid, and we have bought him in for the season. Will he play much? I'm not too sure. He's played the first 2 games of this season and done pretty well, so clearly there is a player in there, and to get him for a very minimal fee on loan for the year, I think is a good deal. But then we added some real quality to our lineup. Cedric was the first incoming. Yes, I know Arsenal fans watching might question whether he is a quality player, but for the Spanish second tier, I think we can safely say he will be. We have bought him in from Arsenal, where he played 5 times last season in game. He's now played 3 games for us at the start of the season and done pretty well. 32 years of age, an international with plenty of experience. He is going to be an ideal option at right back. And we have a new goalkeeper too. 31-year-old Bernabe comes in to replace the goalkeeper we lost, Herrero. He is coming in from Albacete, who were in this division last season. So far, he's played every match for us and put in a good shift in goal, so pretty good free signing there. And it's not quite Zinedine Zidane, but I have got his son. Theo Zidane has joined us. The Algerian international is a very good midfielder with a bit of promise too. Let go by Real Madrid at the end of the first season. Is he going to be really good for us? I don't know. He sometimes doesn't work out for me in FM. I have bought him on a few occasions before, but he's in as a free contract on £4 a week. We'll see if he can live up to the hype of his dad. But I think the highest quality player we've bought in is Jose Campana, our final signing, 31 years of age, a former Spanish international. Even if it was just that one cap, this guy has played for Levante, Crystal Palace, Sevilla, Porto, and now he's here at Malaga. Was last in the second division for Levante and comes in as a very experienced option who's probably going to play in central midfield or maybe even as that regista in our team. But he was our final signing, and I have made the decision to not change anything. We're going to play the way that we played in the third tier. If it doesn't work out as well this season in the second division, I'll change it up. But I think our best 11 is looking pretty strong now. It's Bernabe, Cedric, Monte, Wande and Dani Sanchez at the back, with Campana, Enriquez, Sangali, La Rubia, Velodrez and Roberto Fernandez. I said I was going to put a lot of faith in these players from the other division to help us in the second tier, and I'm doing exactly that. A lot of young players with promise. We've got to give them the chance to prove themselves, and it looks like proving themselves will be a mid-table finish. That's where we're expected to finish. 15-1 odds of winning the title aren't terrible in Football Manager terms. That does mean we've probably got a decent crack at it, but realistically, there's plenty of teams better than us. I mean, Valladolid, Vigo, Cadiz, Granada, Zaragoza as well even are going to give us a tough time. We're going to give it our best shot, even though we are predicted mid-table, and I'd say those predictions might be slightly wrong, because as you might have saw earlier, we have played a few games this season, not this year that you can see here, and it's not gone too badly so far. A 1-0 win away to Alicante to start the season, then a 5-0 home victory against Leganés gave us a lot of hope before we lost to Tenerife and drew to Granada. So we are okay, we're doing fine so far. That's not necessarily promotion form, but it might be enough to secure us that mid-table spot. With that being said though, we need to see how our team gets on over the course of a full season. We've got some new players to gel into the team, so let's see what they can do in Season 2. And this season, we seem to continue our momentum from last year. We played good football, winning a lot of matches, again drawing quite a few, we lost a few as well. It wasn't necessarily championship form, but we did make it to the playoffs with a chance of getting promoted. Our first job was to dispatch Huesca in the semi-final of the playoff, and after beating them 1-0 in the away leg, we came into the home leg with a lot of confidence, and we scored very early on to make it 2-0. At that point, we might have felt quite comfortable in the game, but it wasn't too much longer after that Joaquin went into the area, played it across to Dotor, who finished to make it 2-1 and give them some hope. But thankfully, just as the first half closed off, Cedric received the ball, found Ramon, he played it through to Roberto, who powered it home, and that gave us the win and put us into the playoff final. And it was between us and recently relegated Granada for that last promotion spot. They're a very good team, but early on Roberto got in behind and managed to score past the goalie to make it 1-0 to us. And with 85 minutes gone of the first leg, Rosa darted into the area, went on a solo 2-0 run and powered it home to make it 2. A 2-0 away win would have been a great result to take back to our stadium, but Granada had different ideas. Their star man in the area, Matías Arezzo, tucked it away to pull a goal back for them. So we went back to our stadium with a 2-1 advantage. All we needed to do was not lose a game and we'd be getting promoted to the first division. And we got off to a great start in our home leg. In the 21st minute, Velodres found Ramon to make it 3-1 on aggregate. Granada though immediately hit back. Only 2 minutes after we scored, they went forward. Villar going through the edge of the area, finding Lucas Boy, who played it across to Mezuga, who made it 3-2. Just as the first half was coming to a close though, Sangali picked up the ball in the midfield. We played it nicely around Granada and Velodres powered it home, our star man making it 4-2. But Matías Arezzo in the 35th minute hit a long range free kick which snuck past the goalie to give them a chance. That made it 2-2 on the night, 4-3 on aggregate, but thankfully the score stayed that way and we managed to scrape away with a promotion win in the playoff. And I feel like it was a deserved promotion too. We finished third in the league with 81 points, only 1 point away from that second place spot. A pretty big distance off of Vigo at the top of the league, but Celta Vigo had an incredible squad this season. Cadiz were the other promoted team, but we've managed to beat out Huesca, Albacete and Granada to that promotion spot. We'll be heading to the first tier, 2 back-to-back promotions. It's not totally unexpected for the quality of side we had here at Malaga, but we had to get the job done. We haven't spent any real money yet. We sold players on, so I feel like this is going exactly how we'd want it to go so far. And we have some top performers to thank this season. Campana was our best player, almost to be expected. This guy was an unreal talent. He came into our team and ended up with 8 goals, 8 assists and some great average match ratings at the base of that midfield. Add into that 13 goals from Sangali, Larubia chipping in with 10. We had 8 from Velodres, some of those coming in the crucial games that you just saw, and Roberto Fernandez managed to bag 20 goals. And to note about him, when we got promoted into the second tier, I actually rejected offers from Juventus for him, so clearly there's a lot of interest in this man. We've managed to hold on to him and now we're going into the top tier, and I think I'll probably keep him as our striker. Some good news finally for Malaga fans though is you will be seeing some players coming in the transfer window of some decent quality, I'd hope at least, because we have got 12 million quid to spend, £51,000 of wage budget. We are putting this club in the right direction. At the same time, financially, yes, we might have a low balance here, but it's because we haven't got our money yet from getting promoted. The debts and loans, there's not too much there, and if you have a look at the club, we are upgrading the facilities, we're upgrading the academy coaching, the youth recruitment. We're trying to keep everything going in the right direction here at Malaga so they don't get stuck in the same situation they were before. We've got plenty of good young players coming through. It feels like everything's on the up, but we need to make the right transfers in season 3 to continue this upward progress. And again, it was a pretty busy window. We actually let go of quite a few players released at the end of their contracts after last season. Some of those third tier players that were still clinging along with us. I have kept a good core in the squad though, but we've definitely added some quality. But first, let's look at some of the players we've loaned out, like 18-year-old Aaron Ochoa, who's gone to Eldense in the lower divisions of Spain. I have loaned out Theo for the season as well. He joined us last year, did not play a crazy amount, got upset, so he's gone back down to the second division for another season there. Another good new gem from the academy, Nardelli, has gone to Brisbane Roar for the season on loan. Andres Caro has dropped down the division to play for Sabadell on loan for the year. The keeper we signed last season, Bernabe, has gone this season. He's gone on loan to Watford with an option to buy because I think we've got a better player coming in. And we managed to pick up an actual fee, selling on Juan Hernandez to Sabadell for a fee of 180,000. Not the craziest sales ever, but we didn't splash too much money in the market. And that's because I used a lot of the finances at the club to improve our facilities and whatnot, and then used a lot of the money that we had in transfer budget, shifted it to wages, signed some free contracts, and also made sure we tied down some of our best young talents. But one player that we actually did pay a fee for was Iker Alvarez. Everyone else was a free contract, but we picked up the 24-year-old goalkeeper who's an Andorran international with 34 appearances already, and I'm sure we'll get plenty more now. We've brought him in from Villarreal, where he has been a keeper for their B team, has played for their first team, but realistically, we have paid 250,000 for his signature, and it's going to be a bit of a risk because it's his first season as a number 1 at the club, but we're hoping he can do it for us. He's only expected to be a backup, but actually, he's our best goalkeeper here, so he needs to put in a shift. But we've signed some great squad players to help out this team this season. The first one was Emmanuel Ojeda, 27-year-old Argentinian who we've signed from Universidad de Chile in the Chilean divisions. After 3 good years there, he is now going to join us in the Spanish divisions. Lucimi Cruz isn't necessarily a big name, but he's a nice squad option to have on the wing. The 24-year-old has joined us from Sevilla, where he's been in their B team, spent some time out on loan at Tenerife too, has also played for Barcelona B by the looks of it, but now he's joined us. But then we get into the star men that are coming in to take a position in our best 11. The first one is 22-year-old Alvaro Fernandez, who I believe signed for Benfica in real life, but in this world, he went to Benfica on loan from Manchester United, didn't get signed permanently, came back to Man U, played a few times off the bench and got a pretty poor average rating, was let go at the end of his deal, and we have now signed him. He's a young, promising Spaniard who can play left back better than most players at the club can, so I'm hoping it will work out for him. In the right back spot though, we've gone for plenty of experience. We've bought in Kevin Mbabu, the guy that's had plenty of great cards in FIFA over the years. He has joined us on a free contract, joined Fulham from Wolfsburg a few years ago, then went out on a couple of loans, didn't play for Fulham at all last season, so was let go at the end of his contract. We've paid £14,000 a week for him, and I think he'll be a very good addition to our backline. Lucas Fernandez is a very talented Brazilian player that we have bought in as well. He joins us on a free contract, having spent some time in Portugal and Brazil. He's been pretty good. Our scouts rated him very highly. If you don't know, I only sign players that our scouts recommend in these videos, so I can't use my own knowledge. I have no idea who this is anyway, but he's valued at 10 million and he's one of the highest paid players at the club, so we best do a good job. We then signed a free contract from Real Madrid. Alvaro Carrillo comes in as a centre-back option who can also play full-back if needed. He's been at Real all his career, was then let go having spent most of his time in the B team, did play some football for their first team, but only a little bit, so we're hoping he'll be able to put in a good shift in La Liga now we're giving him the chance. And our final signing was Robert Navarro, who is a 23-year-old former under-21 Spanish international who can play off the left-hand side, comes in as one of our best players from Real Sociedad, where he was let go, spent last season on loan at Cadiz in the top division, and whilst he wasn't necessarily their best player, he did put in a pretty good shift when called upon, so I think 8.5 grand a week for him is not a bad signing at all. And this is now what is considered our best 11. Obviously Bernabe is not going to play, he's out on loan. It'll be Alvarez with Mbabu, Carrillo, Wande, who is now 26 years of age and a very good option at centre-back. Maybe not top tier ready, but it's just what we've got to deal with. With the budgets we had, this is all we could do. Alvaro Fernandez is at left-back. We did have a big issue where a lot of players wouldn't want to join us because of our standing in the game and opted to go for other clubs instead, but we did what we could. Campana is still here. He's in the midfield with Sangali and Lucas Fernandez. Sangali is now 30, so we can't rely on him for too much longer, but our forward line is the same as it has been since the third division. We've got La Rubia on the right, now 23, and a very good option with potential to grow still. On the left is Velodres. He's now 24, got a new contract recently, and has played very well for us, but the main man is Roberto Fernandez. Again, we fended off a lot of interest for him. His value is slowly going up. He's still got the potential to get better, is a little bit injury prone, and according to the game, is only good enough for the Spanish second tier. I don't believe that is true though. I think this guy is ready to go, and he's going to try and be the main man in this team and keep Malaga up. Which, by the way, will not be easy. We're predicted 20th place, rock bottom of the Spanish top tier. 900 to 1 odds of winning the title. The closest to us has 600 to 1 odds, which shows just how far behind those we are. If you have a look as well, these are the best players in the league. Only 2 players are allowed from each club, and you have to go all the way to the bottom to find our 2 best, which is Ramon Enriquez, age 24, a very good player, and Lucas Fernandez, who we have just bought in. So clearly we're not expected to do well at all. In fact, the board don't even want us to stay up. They just want us to give a good attempt of staying up. And that shows you the challenge we've got on our hands here. But again, I'm not going to change the way we play. We're going to try and play some nice football, control the ball. If we get relegated, then we'll come straight back up, I'm sure. But we're going to give it our best shot and try and stay up in our 3rd season with Malaga. And at this point, I am starting to think I am a tactical genius, because this season went far better than I could have expected. But let's start off with what happened in the Spanish Cup. We went further than we have in any season yet, making it to the quarter-final where we faced off against Atletico Madrid. And very early on, we did get our hopes up as La Rubia went forward, played through Fernandez, who bagged a goal and made all of the money we paid for him worth it. I say money we paid for him, I mean the wages that we're having to pay that guy, because he is on a crazy amount compared to everyone else. But probably nothing compared to this Atletico Madrid squad, who took 70 minutes before equalising with this great chip. And clearly that really hurt us, because only 1 minute after that, Correa went forward, found Jalrego in the area, the ball fell out to João Felix, who headed home, and unfortunately we were exiting the cup in the quarter-final, but to one of the best teams in the league, and I don't think we'll be too disappointed when we saw what we did in the league competition. Because, as I kept saying we would, we kept trying to play our expansive football, even though we were expected to get relegated, and it gave us some great results, like this one against Espanyol, where we went 1-0 up very early on, and then 29 minutes in, we played the ball forward, some nice interplay between our players, found Mbabu running long, and he managed to make it 2. Not long before half-time, Ramon picked up the ball and found Campana on the edge of the area. He played it back to Mbabu, some great incisive play played through Ramon to make it 3, and we continued that into the second half. This is a great example of how he played all season against teams of big and small quality. Campana finding Ramon, who made it 4, and that was one of many fantastic results this season that got us a brilliant league finish. We didn't just manage to stay up, we actually somehow managed a 4th place spot. My eventual goal with Malaga in 5 years was to get them into European competition. In season 3, we're already heading back to the Champions League, finishing 4th with 69 points, just edging out Valencia. Yes, it was a bad year for Atletico Madrid, but we had a great season. 69 points is incredible. It's been a long time since Malaga have played Champions League football. We've got them back there, and we had some great performances to thank for it. This was an incredible season, and I really don't usually say this, but I think we're going to do much worse next year. I'm not just saying that either. I just don't think we could compete the way we did this season and have the same results. It was almost definitely a fluke. I'm not going to shy away from that. We're going to enjoy the Champions League run whilst we can, though. Campana was great this season. He is leaving us at the end of his contract this year, but he was fantastic. I mean, scored 12 goals, 6 assists in the top division. You can't ask for much more from an aging midfielder. Ramon Enriquez managed to bag 10 goals. This is a guy that's came through Malaga years and years ago and has continued to do well for us, going from the 3rd tier to the 1st tier, and that's one of many stories of players doing a similar thing. I mean, David Larrubia also been with us since the start and doing a great job. We've got Roberto Fernandez, who scored 12 this season. Not his best year ever, but still a very good performance. And getting into the Champions League is going to give us a massive boost. We've got £25 million to spend in season 4 with nearly 200 grand a wage budget. Our dev centre is producing lots of talented youngsters as well. You can see we're still working on the facilities. We're improving everything at the club. We've got a better reputation than we have done for a long while now. We are taking Malaga in the right direction. We just need to keep it up. Like I say, I think it was a massive fluke this season, but we're going to try and spend that money and do the best we can to keep us in that European race. And I think in season 4, we can yet again be very, very happy with the transfer business we've done. We've managed to sell on some players for a pretty big amount and then bought in players for way cheaper and still managed to improve the squad. One sale to note actually happened last season during January, where Chelsea activated the release clause for our promising but maybe not amazing young striker Jose Fernandez, who didn't play much for us at all, 15 games in 3 seasons and then moved on for £6 million. I'm not going to complain at all. They paid his release clause, he's gone, and we could reinvest that money. Unfortunately, we did lose a young prospect to Inter Milan. Fran has moved for a fee of 325k. Again, a release clause, not a key player, but a player that had a lot of promise. They are loaning him back to us for the season, which is nice. We didn't ask for that, but we'll take it. But yeah, unfortunately, he is gone, but we did make some cash there. Theo has then moved on permanently to Serie A, where he's going to be playing for Frosinone. A good move for him, I'm sure. He's moved for 350k. His loan didn't go great either, so let's get him on, move him out, and get them wages back. Nelson Monte is now 31. He's moved to play for Monza out in Italy. Again, another one that's been a great servant for the last few years. Got us all the way to the 1st division, got us to Champions League football, but wanted a new challenge, so good luck to him. We get 500k-ish. And then Lucas Fernandez has also joined Monza as well. Now, this was one that was kind of taken out of my hands. I say taken out of my hands. I had to do the deal because he joined us. Obviously, was quite an expensive player in terms of the wages. Didn't really perform to that level, even though he did score a goal in the cup competition. I think we actually saw that last year against Atletico Madrid. And then we decided we had to sell him on. High wages, not performing well, but then he stopped turning up to training, and at that point I just had to let him go. 1.9 million, he is out the door. He obviously has some personality issues maybe, but either way, he is gone, and we use that money to reinvest in the squad. And invest in the squad we did with some great incomings like Mika Marmol, the 25-year-old Spaniard who is already one of the best players at the club. We have picked him up on a free from Las Palmas, where he's been playing 1st division football for 3 seasons now. His contract expired, we picked him up, high wages, but we need to pay wages like that to be a Champions League side, and he is valued at 30 million quid. And his partner at the back is now going to be Leo Ostergaard, who is a Norwegian international with 37 caps, age 26. He's a star player for us, brilliant in the air, a physical presence, maybe not the best with the ball at his feet, but we can forgive that with how good he is. He has been a regular for Napoli, not just any side, Napoli out in Serie A, and now we've got him on a free to play here for us at Malaga. I think that's a real coup. Less of a coup, but a nice squad addition is Josh Maja, who we have picked up, age 27. The Nigerian has been smashing it for West Brom in the Championship, so hopefully that will translate to the Spanish division and give some competition for our striker. And our final free transfer was Albert Sambila Conga, formerly of Luton this season, but Arsenal as well as his home club. He went to Southampton in this FM world after his year at Luton, did well in the Championship, did well for Arsenal when called upon, but was let go. And for us, I think the Belgian is going to be a fantastic squad addition, as is Julian Araujo, who we have actually paid money for, our biggest signing yet, 3.2 million from Barcelona. Can play left back and right back, but mainly is coming in to be our new right back long term once Babu gets a little bit older. He's a Mexican international, a great player with a lot of ability. Was on a transfer list at Barca, so I think will easily slot into our Malaga side. But we then spent a little bit more money on our final transfer of this window. Alan Velasco, the 23-year-old Argentinian, has signed for 6 million from FC Dallas, where he has been exceptional in the MLS. He now comes in as one of our best options off that left-hand side and improves our team massively. I nearly forgot to mention these two signings that we've bought in. 18-year-old Igor Polyakov, I don't know if I pronounced that right, is a German who we have bought in from Hoffenheim for a release clause fee of 2.4 million. He is going to be a wonder kid. He is going out on loan for the season. That's the plan, at least, I think. I think that release clause represented great value, and you can see that because he's now valued at 18 million. And we did sign another player on a free contract, Pablo Torre. I nearly forgot these guys because they were booked in as last season's transfers, even though they were right at the start almost of this season, so they just classed as last year. Either way, it doesn't matter. They are in this team for the coming season. Pablo Torre in from Barcelona on a free, picked up by them years ago with plenty of promise. Hasn't quite reached it, but we're going to hope he does for us. And those additions to the squad now have us predicted to finish in 11th place, a massive increase from where we were last season. 200 to 1 favourites to win the title. It's still not great, but last year we were right down here where Valladolid were. What progress that is in one season. We're doing a great job here at Malaga, and we now have a new best 11 that we started building that looks so talented. I mean, Alvarez is in goal, pretty young still in his career. Araujo, Ostergaard, Marmal and Fernandez in a pretty young defence, all of which have joined in the last 2 seasons. Sambi Lokonga is at the base of our midfield with Pablo Torre and Enriquez in there. Ramon Enriquez, what a player this is. Has great fan opinion apparently. He will be a club legend sometime soon. 25, came from the academy and has done great for us over the years. Then we've got Larubia still as our best right winger. We do have Velasco make his way into the best 11, as does Josh Maja, but I imagine we'll be seeing our man Roberto Fernandez trying to compete for that spot, and also Velasco will be having to compete with Kevin Villodres, which won't be easy. We've built up some good players in this team, all of which have developed nicely. There's still plenty of good young talents coming through that I'm sure you'll get introduced to a little bit later, but now we're ready to go. We're heading into our first year in the Champions League. It's our 4th season here as Malaga manager. What a turnaround it's been from Division 3 to 2 to 1. Now we're competing in the UCL. Let's give it our best shot and see what we can do in Season 4. Now, I did say last season was a fluke, and I think I might have been right, but we did have a chance to right a wrong. We were once again in the Spanish Cup quarter-final, facing off again against Atletico Madrid. And with the players we added this year, it certainly wasn't as much of a David and Goliath tie as it would have been previously, but Atletico, still one of their players, probably covers the contracts of all of our guys, and Semi Kidaskoy proved that, making it 1-0 early on. But with 30 minutes on the clock, we came forward with Araujo down the right-hand side. He found Larubia, who is still here from the third tier to the top tier, still scoring 1-1. And with 60 minutes on the clock and the game closing out, we had a chance to finally beat them. Sambi Lokonga with a great ball over to Araujo. He played it across, and it was that man Roberto coming in to make it 2-1. It's great to see these players have been with us the whole way scoring, but only a couple minutes later, Goran Qual went forward for Atletico Madrid. He played it across the box, and João Felix once again scored to break our hearts. And it went all the way into extra time, and with 95 minutes on the clock, Fran, in one of his last actions for the club, played it across to Roberto Fernandez, who headed it home to make it 3-2. And you'd think winning in extra time we would be going through, but no, a mistake from our defence led to Serrano finding Cliver, who equalised for Atletico, and heartbreak in the 113th minute, Correa's corner finding Bichiabu and a scramble on the line led to Atletico scoring. They knocked us out yet again in the quarter-final of the Spanish Cup. 4-3, no silverware for us. But of course, we were in the Champions League this year, and we actually did pretty well in a game against Rangers, where Kevin Villodres opened the scoring, and not too long after, we had a corner which Ostergaard tapped in. That gave us a 2-0 win, and I'm not going to sit here and say the rest of the Champions League was as good, because it wasn't. That was the only win we got in the competition. We came pretty much rock bottom of the league phase, but look, we were in the UCL, we gave it a shot, and we managed to get one win in Europe. But unfortunately, in Season 5, our last year, we won't be going into European competition. We finished in 8th place, just missing out, only a few points less than what we got last season, but it was enough to make sure that we weren't going back into European competition. 18 wins though, 13 losses, not a bad year at all, not our best season by any stretch, but still overperforming any kind of expectation. This year, the big clubs did as well as you would expect, so we were never going to be able to compete with them just yet. But our players did give us the best shot. I mean, Cruz came in and scored 13 goals this season. Ramon Enriquez still doing well with 8 goals. Campana was a big loss in our midfield, it must be said, but it was good to see Robert Fernandez continuing his goal scoring exploits with 22 in all comps, and we also had Alan Velasco chipping in with 11 in his first season. So by no means was it our best year, obviously last year was, but this is still amazing progress. And I know I keep saying it, but we're doing this with a lot of players that we inherited in season 1 still with us now in the top tier. How much longer that'll be the case though, I don't know, because we have been given 16 million to spend, 120 grand of wage budget. At the same time, we've been increasing the training facilities, and we're even going to be buying the stadium. That's the next step. So we'll actually own the Malaga stadium. We won't be renting it out. So everything is going in the right direction to keep this club in La Liga sustainably competing for Europe. We've got one more year to make some transfers to take us just an extra step further and try and qualify for Europe yet again. And this transfer window, I think, was our best yet in terms of the quality of player that we bought in. But before I show you those, I'm going to ask you one more time if you could do me a massive favour, liking the video, subscribing if you have enjoyed the video up to this point. I'm sure you'll enjoy everything else on the channel, so make sure you do hit that subscribe button, and thank you always for all of your guys' support. But let's see who we signed and who we sold. Firstly, we lost a youngster, Jose, a good, promising academy product with lots of potential, has gone to Arsenal for a release clause fee of 1.1 million. It's the hard reality of having mandatory release clauses in Spain, especially with the youth players. Sometimes they'll have them in their contracts and I won't even notice. Either way though, I tried to offer him a new deal, but he wanted to go to Arsenal. Kevin Mbabu has also moved on to go back to his home nation of Switzerland to play for Lausanne to finish off his career, so a nice move for him for about 200k. And Alvaro Carrillo, who joined us a few years ago from Real Madrid, is now going to be playing for Sevilla. A good move for him, I'd say, probably an upwards move for 3.2 million. Best of luck to him. He'll be a squad player there, but with the players we bought in this year, he wasn't really needed. And we also moved on Ojeda, who did okay for us as a squad player, but was on quite high contract for how much he was playing, so he's moved to Nantes for a negligible fee, but it was just to get him off the books. Coming in though, we had a young prospect, nothing really to note, but for anyone that continues to save over on Patreon, you've got this guy and a bunch of other great new gens in the academy developing. It's an Estonian international, Nikita Rus, who we've bought him for free from Manchester United. Kirill Despodov, the Bulgarian international legend, is an absolutely brilliant addition on either flank for us. This guy is just another level, bought in from Greek side PAOK, where he's been exceptional for them, and now hopefully will be great for us. And Milan van Uwijk takes up Mbabu's place as our backup right back now at the club. The Netherlands under-21 former international is now 26, who spent his career at Coventry and done very well in the Championship and League One in this simulation. They got relegated by the looks of it. Either way though, a fantastic player for our team. Amir Richardson was then brought in, a quality player, a Moroccan international, 25 years of age, signed from Barcelona for 3.6 million on the transfer list. They spent a big amount on him from Reims. He then did not play at all, and we have got him on a cut price. He's now valued at 9 million, so I think this is another great piece of business from our Malaga transfers. And finally, we have bought in Matthias Brunoda, the 25-year-old Austrian, on a free contract. I say a free, we had to pay compensation of a massive £5.5 thousand. He's joined from Austria Vienna, where he has been, again, exceptional for the last 4 years, and another very good addition to our team. And just look how good this team now is. I mean, pretty much everyone is a new face in this side. We almost have to do that with the amount we've got promoted, but there are players still like Roberto Fernandez still chipping in here from when they were with us in the third tier, and there's plenty others as well. The Ruby is still around, Velodres as well. I'm really happy with what we've done with Malaga. In fact, it might be one of my favourite rebuilds yet. We have built a great squad, we've got a good reputation, pretty much maximum facilities, we own the stadium as well, we're going to be developing it soon to make it even bigger. There's no trophies, but we have managed to win European football, but we have got one more season to try and do that again. We're going to give it our best shot. I imagine a league title's out of stretch, but we'll give it everything we've got and hopefully qualify for Europe once more. And this season, I think we can be very proud of. We gave it our all. We continue to play the same football we've played from the start. We had our academy players mixed in with our new free transfers that we've made and the odd money that we have spent to create a team that are just overperforming at every opportunity. And once again, we made it to a quarter-final of the Spanish Cup. And finally, we weren't against Atletico Madrid in the quarter-final, but we did get drawn against Real Madrid, arguably a very much harder match, and Mika Marmol gave them an own goal after 32 minutes. But we weren't going out in the quarter-final this time. We refused to, and Roberto Fernandes powered it home to equalise against the Spanish Giants. And with the minutes ticking away, there was only a few minutes until extra time, but Milan Van Uyck decided to throw in this horror challenge on Bellingham that you'll see in a second, which got him sent off and put us down to 10 men. At this point, the Spanish Cup was our only real chance of silverware. We were drawing to Real Madrid 1-1, now we had a man sent off. There was no chance we were going to win in extra time. Or so we thought, because we held out well. Pablo Torre received the ball in 115th minute. He then played it across. The former Barcelona man finding a different former Barca man in Richardson. He scored, that gave us the win. We beat Real Madrid 2-1 with 10 men, qualified for the semi-final where we knocked out Alaves in a comfortable victory across 2 legs, and that set up a final against second division side Racing Santander, our best chance of a trophy in our final season. Velasco received the ball with 12 minutes on the clock and scored to put us 1-0 up, and not too long afterwards it was Despedov to Sambi Lokonga into the area to Brunada, who hit this brilliant shot into the goal to make it 2-0. Santander then did score from the penalty spot to make it 2-1 and put our hearts in our mouths, but Despedov only 2 minutes later scored our own penalty to make it 3-1. And with the minutes ticking away, 85 minutes on the clock, Velasco picked up the ball, played through Roberto Fernandes, who scored in our third division when we were there. Now he scores the winner in the Spanish Cup. And that, by the way, was Malaga's first Spanish Cup win. We had finally done it. We'd won some silverware with Malaga. It was a great season for all of our players, and they didn't just do well in the Cup, they did well in the league too. They secured a brilliant 4th place finish, Champions League football again, just a little bit below Valencia, still miles away from title winners Real Madrid and challengers Barcelona, but we beat Atletico Madrid to that 4th place spot. They'll be getting Champions League football once more, so if you continue on Patreon, that's what you'll have to look forward to. And what a great season it was for our players. I mean, lots of new incomings doing well, but just great to see someone like Fernandes, who's been here from the start, scoring 24 goals and looking like a great striker. It just shows you if you give these players a chance, the things they can do. And just to show you as well, if we go to the club screen now to finish off, great facilities, a great stadium, a good reputation, but the club's biggest legend, bar one, only Duda, is a bigger legend at Malaga now than Ramon Enriquez, who I haven't spoken about enough really for how well he's done in this rebuild. Been with us since the start, put in consistent, amazing performances no matter the division. This guy has helped us so much. He's an unbelievable player. The fans love him. He is a club legend, and I think will go down as a club legend as well. One of my favourite rebuilds so far, rebuilding one of the unluckiest clubs in world football. Let me know who you want to see next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.